line on it. Maybe that would be a suitable alternative to $124 million for a streetcar. But because we started kind of late this evening, we're probably not going to get through everything I wanted to talk to. But I did want to talk about something else. That's not your fault. It's okay because I ranted for a lot longer on the streetcar than I thought I was going to.
And when she rants.
And when I rant, I rant. But you gotta admit, it makes for good radio because I'm ticked off. This is something else that's going on here in Wisconsin. The Menominee tribe, in conjunction with the Seminoles in Florida, have been pushing for a couple of years to open a Hard Rock hotel and casino in Kenosha, which is the county to south of me, the one that borders Illinois.
Halfway between Milwaukee and Chicago.
Yeah, and there was an old Greyhound racing track there that has been abandoned for at least 15 years, probably longer. And that was the site where they were going to build this hotel and casino and bring jobs to the area, and the area needs jobs and more revenue to the state. But the problem is, back when the Potawatomi tribe, who have a casino here in Milwaukee, entered into compacts with the state under the Democrat Jim Doyle, administration, they basically got a sweetheart deal that gives them a monopoly over casinos in the southeast Wisconsin area. Because the nearest casino now to me here is in the Wisconsin Dells, which is about 3 hours-ish northwest of here. And Potawatomi started out literally as a bingo hall in a red, white, and green shack in the Menominee Valley downtown, just southwest of downtown. And it's turned into a hotel and a casino with slot machines, gaming tables, all of that sort of thing. And they're the only casino in the area. They make, I think the figure was $1 million in profit a day or something outrageous like that. And then, profits are fine. Profits are good. But they have no competition here in the southwest part of the state. And the nearest casinos, I believe, are south of here are in northern Illinois and even as far as into Indiana. So they wanted to build this casino, and I was all for it. And it took our governor a long time to come up with a decision. And about 2-3 weeks ago, he decided to no. The costs and the risks to the state were going to be too much to make the casino economically viable.
The man who put together this deal, his predecessor, Jim Doyle, was one of the slickest, sleaziest lawyers.
Jim Doyle?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we called him Diamond Jim.
Yeah.
That's what we called the previous administration, the governor. We called him Diamond Jim Doyle. And
he probably made sure that everything was covered so that anybody who tried to start competition would just run into a headache.
Yeah, because the Potawatomi makes a rather large payment of a couple $100 million to the state. And if they had allowed this to go ahead, the Potawatomi would have withheld that money, and it would have obviously damaged Wisconsin's budget. But the Menominee, I'm going to put a link up in the chat room, they have said basically that they will pay any losses from the compacts. They will pay legal costs. They will pay their own fair share of money into the state to get this casino. And the last thing they offered was they will give $200 million to pay for a new arena for the Milwaukee Bucks, which has been an issue we've talked about on the program in the past. The Bucks have new owners, and they're doing remarkably well as far as play goes, and they want to build them a new arena here in Milwaukee. And obviously that's a $500 million investment, and we don't know exactly where that money's going to come from. And the governor has said basically he's not going to reverse his decision. And I like Walker. I voted for him every time he's run. I think he's doing a remarkable job here in the state, but I'm disappointed that he rejected this casino and couldn't figure out a way to fight.
That quote from Bob Wersch, I think, is worth. The Democratic state senator said, "I'm used to the Democrats coming up with negative opinions on Walker. I have never heard as many angry Republicans in my district as this."
Because I think that if the Menominee was willing to pay all the losses that the Potawatomi would withhold from the state, they should have gone ahead. And it would have been a symbolic gesture of the governor saying, you're not going to control what happens in my state because of what the previous administration allowed you to do, and opened up this abandoned building that's been sitting in Kenosha abandoned forever to decent paying jobs, because those casino jobs do pay relatively decent money. I couldn't work in a casino because the environment, I think the work environment and the work hours would be very, very difficult. I know people who work at the casino here. They make pretty decent money, but they work all hours. I mean, they work from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. They work from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. It's open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It's a hard job, and one that I couldn't do. I do like gambling. This is where Dave and I differ a little bit. He is not a gambler.
I'm a bad Catholic.
Yeah, he is a bad Catholic bingo. Because he won't play bingo. And I've never in my life, and this is going to be stereotypical, and I apologize, I've never in my life met a Catholic who didn't love bingo. And I come from a family of very, very rabid bingo players.
The one time I went along with them.
I was not raised Catholic, though. I converted. My mom's side of the family was Catholic. My dad was Lutheran. He was the churchgoer, so I was actually baptized Wells Lutheran as an infant, and I didn't convert to Catholicism. It'll be 10 years in May since my conversion. So gambling was not looked on fondly in my Wells congregation, but those Catholics, they like it, and I did go to church bingo with my grandma as a kid, and I really didn't win much of anything, and I still don't. I think I've won once at Potawatomi in the 14 years that I've been going, because you have to be 18 to play bingo and 21 to go into the slots and gaming tables. So I would have liked the opportunity to have a casino an hour south of me rather than 3 hours northwest of me, and just a competition for Potawatomi to show them. I mean, they run. They're it in southeast Wisconsin.
And in some respects, they've kind of flaunted the monopoly. Their service is gone. They may have built the hotel, but the amenities that allow me to tolerate the environment there, because I've gone there. I've gone around the slot machines. The slot machines don't really interest me. I played them. It's like, meh. But things like the restaurants, the buffet. They had a decent buffet there some years ago. In fact, we went the night before our eldest was born. Yeah. And it's sort of gone downhill.
Yeah. So, and I've seen some people say that this is a bribe, that the Menominee are trying to bribe the governor into changing his mind. And at this point, I don't think there's any other way that the media would spin it other than he was basically bribed by the Menominee. But I think he made the wrong choice in not approving this casino in the first place, especially since the Menominee put all of those things on the table that they were going to do to offset anything that may have happened with the Potawatomi.
And the Potawatomi ran a very slick advertising campaign against against putting in a new casino, saying that the money would actually go to Florida, to Seminole tribe, instead of saying that the Seminoles were helping the Menominee out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and the casino has done a lot to help the Potawatomi tribe. They run schools. They do a lot of charitable work. So that it's made a difference in the quality of life for the people of the Potawatomi, Forest County Potawatomi. And I think the Menominee should have had sort of that same opportunity, and it's been taken away from them. So
yeah, that's the thing that doesn't upset me, is because why not allow another tribe the same opportunities that you got?
So I know we've been kind of ranting and raving here, but do you have any comments on that, Amanda?
So there's an empty building sitting there, and they wanted to put a casino in. Now it's not going to happen. That's so sad. That's 2 planning fails. Mm-hmm. I'm freaking out here.
I have to say, I'm not unhappy that the Greyhound track failed. I'm not a fan of. I think Greyhound racing is rather a cruel thing. I admire people who adopt Greyhounds, rescue them from that environment, because life the Greyhound leads is not pleasant in that. But to replace it, to get some jobs, well-paying jobs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people could use those jobs. And
it wouldn't just
stimulate the economy.
And it wouldn't just be in the casino, because there would be development around that casino. There would be restaurants, there would be other businesses that would come in and try to pick up on some of that increased traffic, because we would pull people from northern Illinois. We would pull people from Milwaukee and from the sort of the south central part of the state. So I'm disappointed in him for not doing that. But at this point, no matter how much they sweeten the pot, I do think that anything that if he backpedals, it'll look like a bribe, and he's basically taking a bribe. But I think he's kind of painted himself into a corner and has disillusioned some of his supporters, and I especially think that that's troublesome because to me right now he's obviously got eyes on the White House, Scott Walker, and I think he's governing in the safe zone where he's trying very, very hard not to rock the boat or have a replay of the 2011 protest that we had because he has political ambitions higher than Wisconsin. And that's fine. I'm happy largely with the job he's done here. But part of that was on him making those tough decisions and standing by them and governing as a conservative and not worrying so much about how it looked or how it played to a national audience. And I feel like that's slipping away. I do. I don't want him to forget that he is still our governor and he still has to do his job here because there are still things that need to be done. School choice, right to work, all of those things. I mean, he is, I don't want to say he's picking a fight, but he is trying to cut some of the fat from the UW system, and they're upset because I think it comes to like a 3% budget cut ultimately, and they're freaking out because he's cutting their budget, but he's also giving them more independence to figure out ways to get around that budget cut and not have them be under state control. So that's a bold reform that he's going for, but there are so many other things that he could do, especially since he's got solid majorities in the Assembly and the State Senate, where he could pass pretty much everything he wants. And it would pass. And
the state Supreme Court's leaning conservative.
And the state Supreme Court right now leans conservative, and probably will continue to do so, because it has largely been conservative, even when we've had Democrat governors.
Because the problem we had with Thompson administration was a lot of things got overturned when he got them through by a more liberal-leaning one. Yeah. So it's...
But, so... Well, I think the casino should have been passed. I think the state should step in and probably try and kill this streetcar boondoggle. But we are getting to the bottom of the program, so we're going to do some time for shameless self-promotion. We'll start with Amanda. Amanda, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at writeinplanning. It's spelled as it sounds. And I'm here every Monday night at 9 o'clock for Edge of Anarchy. So come join me.
Yes, do listen into her program on Monday nights. It's a fun time. Dave, where can we find you?
You can find me once in a while at Charnina53219 on Twitter, and
he'll be changing that. I will make him change that.
Yeah, and I'll get on Twitter once in a while to do it, and commenting on various blogs.
And Taylor, where can we find you now that I know that your handle has changed?
Taylor M. VLR. That's Taylor M. VLR. I'll be with Liz Harrison in just a couple of minutes with Right War. Be sure to go over to the FTR radio chat to be there. You can follow Amy at Modern Comments. That's at Modern Comments. And we will talk to you guys next week here on Vigilant Liberty Radio. Thanks all.
Thank you.
This show is copyright by VLR Media. All opinions of hosts, panelists, and guests are their own and may not reflect the opinion of VLR Media or anyone else.